I would like to devote this morning's shiur to my Le'ilah Nishmas, my grandfather, Harav Agoyin Reb Reuven Scheiner, whose yahrzeit, his fifth yahrzeit, was yesterday. One of the big milas of the Shul, as they call it, Scheiner Shul, is that it's a place welcoming to all. My grandfather, who grew up in Scranton, Pennsylvania, went to Tarvadas, he was Marbet's Torah for over 50 years, had that milah to the fullest extent. He was somebody that loved every single Yid. It didn't make a difference who. And the people felt it. People gravitated, his Talmidim and other people. He really, really loved every single Yid. In this week's Parsha, Parshas Pinchas, we find something unique, that it's once in the whole entire Torah. The pasuk says, "Lochein emoir hineni noisen loy es berisi shalom." B'negeya to the word shalom. The Gemara in Kedushin, and I want to take a minute to read the Gemara inside to understand the background, and that's what we're going to focus on, the word shalom. The Gemara in Kedushin of Samach Vav Amud Beis says there's a halacha that a Baal Mum that does the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash, the avodah is possible. The Gemara says like this: Baal Mum da avodah psula minallah. And how do you know that if a Baal Mum does the avodah in the Beis Hamikdash that it's possible? Zok the Gemara Amar of Yehuda Amar Shmuel the Amar Kro. We have a pasuk Lochein Emor in this week's parsha Hineni Noisen Lo Yes Berisi Shalom. So the Gemara says a drasha Keshehu Shalom, when the person is whole, V'lo Keshehu Chaser. The Torah says in this week's parsha, a kohen, when he does the malach, he has to be Shalom, whole, not Chaser, not a Baal Mum. A Baal Mum that does the malach is possible. Frek the Gemara, wait a second. We made a drasha Shalom, whole, v'lo chaser, not if somebody's Rahman al Baal Mum. Frek the Gemara in the Torah Akdosha, it says Shalom with a vav, peace. Hineni noisen lo is berisi Shalom, peace. So how do you make a drasha Shalom that the person has to be whole? And for the Gemara Amar of Nachum. And this is what we're going to focus on this morning. Shiur Amar of Nachum, Vav de Shalom Ktiyahi. The Vav of the word Shalom Ktiyah is upgehakt, is amputated. We'll soon see in a minute exactly what is different, what is abnormal. But what the Gemara is saying is true that in the Torah it says Shalom, the lashon peace. However, we can make a drasha Shalom, whole, v'lo Baal Mum, even though there's a vav, because l'maisa you could look away from the vav, because the vav really is it's a little bit of a missing vav. Let's try to understand what exactly does it mean, Vav Ktiyah. Obviously, this means that it's written, the Vav in the Sefer Torah is written differently, it's Ktiyah. And that's something that Parshas you do not find anywhere else in the Torah. You find other, let's call it abnormal, Vayikra, the aleph is small, you find big letters, but this that you have a letter, but it's Ktiyah, as we'll soon see what it means, might be the only time in the Torah. Rabbeinu Bechaya, Raidi ala Torah, explains what's Vav Ktiyah. Nothing in particular abnormal that you don't find anywhere else in the Torah. Vav Ktiyah means that it's small. Of course, the Gemara says it's upgehakt, but really the idea is that it's a small vav, and it's as if the Torah doesn't have a vav. Maybe you can make the drasha. They bring that is a Medrash Oisius der Bakiva. I looked and I was not able to find it. That also says that the Vav K'tia means that it's a small Vav. That's Shita number one. Shita number one is that the Vav is a smaller Vav. And that's what the Gemara makes a drush of Vav K'tia. It's a smaller Vav. It's just like in Vayikra, without the Aleph, but the Anov of Moshe Rabbeinu, Vayokar, without the Aleph. So here also you can read Shalom without the Vav, because it's a small Vav, it's Commander Lesa. The second Shita, the Shita is HaRitva. The Ritva over there in Kedushin, the Ritva understands when the Gemara says K'tia means upgehakt, amputated, not that it's smaller. The Ritva himself says that if it means smaller, so then the Gemara should have said, the Vav is Ze'ira, it's small. And therefore, you could have still made the drasha, but the Gemara should have said Ze'ira. When the Gemara says K'tia means chopped. It's chopped. Now that the Ritva says that it's chopped, how exactly is this Vav chopped? How is it chopped? We'll soon see these multiple different ways how to chop the Vav. The Rabbeinu Bachaya says that it's a small Vav, small is small. These other oisis in the Torah that are small also. But chopped, how is it chopped? The Ur Torah explains, the Ur Torah lived in the 1600s. Rabbi Kivega and Shuvas brings him. And he says that it's chopped in a way that the top of the Vav is a Yud. This is the Shitas Rabbeinu Bachaya, that it's a small Vav compared to the Tes. This is the Ur Torah. We'll soon see the other ones. If you see it's chopped over here, there's a Yud on the top and then a remainder on the bottom. If you realize it's on a slant, so the top piece is a Yud. This one all the way to over here, it's a Yud. So the way it's chopped is that there's a Yud on the top and then there's a piece on the bottom. So if you take a look at it when you're reading in the Sefer Torah, it's a Vav.
Isn't it funny that the drasha that's telling us that the claim can't be Balmum is made up of a letter? The only way to get that is with a letter that's broken.
What's you're asking? You're right. It's unique. It's the only time K'tia, but the concept.
Oh, I'm saying it's funny. It's coming to tell me you have to be Shalem, not a Balmum, and the word is spelled with letters that are Balmum. It's just like
the idea is, I hear, and you'll soon see when we're going to end off with a very, very interesting story, which is also even more interesting with the word. We'll get to that in a couple of minutes. But Yitaka right, that Shalem V'loi Balmum, and here the Vav Ki'ilu is a Balmum. But the idea of K'tia is that you don't have the Vav B'chlal. So if you don't have the Vav, whatever, we don't use the Vav, the Mela Shalem. But yeah, and the Chanami Taka, that the Vav Taka is Ki'ilu Balmum. Ki'ilu Lagabe, that it's chopped. So the Ur Torah understands, this is opinion number 2, but it's an explanation in the Ritva. He brings the Ritva. And the pshat is that it's chopped in a way that the top is a Yud, and then you have a piece on the bottom. So when you look at it, it's a Vav. He brings, the same is also brought in the Sefer Ramah. That's a Sefer of Safras that was before him, that also writes that Vav K'tia means that it's chopped in a way that the top is a Yud, then you have a piece coming down, and that's the Vav K'tia. In the Sefer Lishkas HaSefer, that's a Pirush that the Baal Kitzur Shulchan Aruch wrote on his Sefer Kesses HaSefer. Kesses HaSefer is a Sefer on Safras, and on the top he writes, he goes through the Parshas, different pointers on different letters, and on the top he writes K'tia, on the bottom he goes through what K'tia is. So he brings that the Sefer Minchas Shai. Minchas Shai is from the earliest Sevarim, call it like a Tikkun Koirim, a guidebook of Chaseris v'Yaseris. He already brings, this is the Lashon in the Minchas Shai, Ube'emes, Shekein Ra'isi Gamani, I saw, says the Minchas Shai, B'Sefer Torah Kadmoin, Misvarad, I saw like this, to do this opinion that there's a Yud on the top and on the bottom, there's another piece, so it's a vav. After the Or Torah, there are others that also said like that. The Marsha in Kedushin, the Marsha says that the top is a yud. The Marsha says, V'karinon, says the Marsha, shalim. Means it's cut, the bottom is hanging off, and on the top you have a yud. Shalim, with a yud inside. Parshas, the Gemara says shalem, but then the Gemara says vav k'tia, so the Marsha says vav k'tia, and therefore what? Before the Gemara says shalem, a person has to be whole. Here shalem maybe answers Yeshayla taka that the k'tia leaves us with a yud. His taka piece hanging down lower, but he's a yud. And says the Marsha, shalem is the targum of tamim v'loy balmum. You do find in the Torah sometimes a lashon of targum by Yaakov and Lavan. The Torah says, "Vayikra loy." Lavan said, "Yigar sohadusa." That's a lashon targum. Rashi says targum of Galeid. And Memela Zakta Marsha, you have a chap shalom, and these are yud shalim. The Chassam Sofer in this week's parsha in Torah's Moshe, the Chassam Sofer also learns, and he says that the top piece is a yud. Then he goes on to his pshat, Yashlim. He says that Pinchas is the Yashlim. He's the person that's going to make shalom, Yashlim, but also with a yud. He pulls a yud from the word before, and also the yud inside with the vav k'tia. So he learns vav k'tia like opinion number 2, pshat and the ritva, that there's a yud on the top. The same is also brought in Heichal HaBracha from the Kamarna, a Pirush on Chumash that goes with the Chaseris, Yaseris, like this, and he says that it's also like a Yud. Reb Kiveger in a Tshuva goes very much not like the Or Torah. And he says that if you're going to do like the Or Torah, his lashon is, "Am choishesh v'choishesh ani lebracha levatala," meaning to say, let's stop for a minute. If you're going to make a yud on the top, which means you don't have a vav, and lefi Rabbeinu b'chaya, that was shita number 1. What does it mean, k'tia? A small vav, but you have a vav. Kivega says, Parshas, it's like Rabbeinu B'chaya. But if you're going to do like this pshat and the ritva and only make a yud on the top, like we just saw from the Or Torah and from others, to say for Torah might be possible because you might not have, you don't have a vav. You have to write a vav. You're missing a vav. Therefore, he says Reb Kiveger, what you should do is make a small vav on the top, which is really like Rabbeinu B'chaya. And then on the bottom, add another piece, no problem, to be able to be yoytze the shitas haritva. Rabbeinu B'chaya is just a small vav, so make a small vav. You want to also go with the ritva that it's chopped, it's amputated, so add on another piece on the bottom. Doesn't bother anybody. And that's like this, the middle one. There's a regular vav, the middle vav, there's a regular vav. However, there's a piece on the bottom. There's a regular vav, there's a piece on the bottom. The shita we mentioned before is to have a yud on the top. Marshach, Sam Sefer, like the Or Torah. Reb Kiveger says, no, not like my son-in-law. He doesn't bring the Chassam Sefer, but not like my son-in-law, the Chassam Sefer, to make a yud. So Reb Kiveger, no, make a vav. If you make a yud, I'm choishish that the Sefer Torah is possible, it's a bracha of atala. Says Reb Kiveger, the Anoichi, says Reb Kiveger, at the end of the tshuva, Kasha Zochini Hashem L'ksiva Sefer Torah, when I was Zoicha to have a Sefer, write a Sefer Torah for me to Makayim, the mitzvah of Ksiva Sefer Torah, Zok Reb Kiveger, Tzivisi LaHaSefer, Shelo Yichtov B'tzuras Or Torah, like what we said, to have a yud on the top. V'choishesh ani lebracha levatarla chas v'sholem. Rak lichtov a small vav. And then also to have, like the Ritva, make a piece on the bottom. The Minchas Alazar, the Minkatcher Rebbe, brings that he saw his grandfather's Sefer Torah, the Bnei Yissaschar Sefer Torah, that was written Vav K'tia like Reb Kiveger. That it was cut, but often there was a Vav on the top, and on the bottom there was a piece. Now Agav, it's not Agav, but even with this Shita, what type of piece on the bottom? Because really you have on the top you have a Vav. If you learn like the other Shita that there's a Yud on the top, so then you need to make a real piece on the bottom, a line, to make it into a Vav. But the Shita of Reb Kiveger, the middle Shita, you see this Shita, you have to have a real piece on the bottom to make it into a Vav, the Or Torah. But the Reb Kiveger, technically you could just make a dot on the bottom. The idea is that it's amputated. Okay, so you have a little dot cut off on the bottom. Says the Minchas Alazar, and then afterwards, if you go back to Reb Kiveger, you see it in Reb Kiveger also, he speaks out, it shouldn't just be a dot like a chirik. He says there should be a nakuda arucha, there should be a line. In other words, even if we're going that you have a small vav, you should make another piece on the bottom, another vav, so to speak. What do we have so far? Just over Masudar, we have Shita number 1 when the Gemara says Vav K'tia means a small Vav. Nothing is cut, a small Vav. Shita number 2 is that it's cut in a way that the top is a Yud, you have another piece on the bottom, it's a Vav. Shita number 3 is that on the top is a Vav and the bottom is a piece. Shita number 4 is the Chidah. The Chidah in a Sefer LeDavid Emes is a Sefer on Safras. The Chidah says a different Mahalach. You have a sliver cut off on the side of the Vav. If you take a look over here, you have a regular Vav, regular Vav, absolutely a regular Vav, and it's kind of cut off on the side. Some Sefer Torah actually have it. I think by some of the Chassidim they go with this understanding of K'tia that it's a regular full Vav, but it's kind of cut off on the side. It's K'tia, it's amputated, but you have a regular Vav.
How does that help you for the Gemara?
Why?
The whole problem was Shalem, it's a regular Vav.
You're right. However, what the Gemara is saying, K'tia, you're asking Lamaisa Lafida Chidat, a regular Vav, so how do you have the drush of K'tia? But at the end of the day, if it's something that's abnormal in the Sefer Torah,
To say that you could dash Shalem as Shalem?
the idea is that there's something different in the Sefer Torah. What's this? Why is it like that? You never ever find that there's such a Messiah to have a piece cut off. Why is it cut off? The teretz is, it's being meramis that this Vav, you could also not use the Vav. You're talking right, there's a pure full Vav.
Just pretend it's not there.
You're right. If it's small, so then it's like Vayakar, it's not there B'chlal. If it's cut off, whether if it's cut off that it's only a Yud, so you don't have a Vav, or even if it's small, it's weiter small. You're saying here you have a full-fledged Vav, but the drush is, because there's something abnormal in the Vav, very good point. There's something not regular, there's a cut over there, that itself says, wait a second, for the drasha you should read the word without the Vav. There's yet another Shita, and that's the Radvaz. I was not able to find the Radvaz, but Reb Shach and Avi Ezri has a long shtickle, Toichat Varim, and he goes through the Shitas over here. He brings the Radvaz, and the way he brings the Radvaz, I'm quoting the Radvaz from what I saw in Avi Ezri. I couldn't find the Radvaz inside. But he says the Radvaz understood that it's split, the Vav is split, is amputated like the Ritva. However you learn in the Ritva. But it's split, and the Radvaz says that he saw like that a Sefer Torah Medukdek that was in Fez. Fez is in Morocco. An old Sefer Torah, a Sefer Torah Medukdek that was cut. However, you'll learn. One way he for sure doesn't learn like the Torah. The whole shtickler of Shach is also in the lines of Reb Kiveger of a lot of kashas on the Torah. But he brings the Radvaz that the Radvaz learns. He doesn't. I couldn't understand how exactly he learns. If he learns like the second, like the Shitas of Kiveger, or like the Chidah, but not like the Torah, because he says that the top is like a vav. It's like a vav. So I'm not sure if it's a vav and it's caught at the side, caught at the bottom. But the Radvaz says like this, and then he says that it's attached with a little streak. It's attached. It's taka cut off. It's taka amputated. It's broken off the bottom piece or the side piece. Either like this shita or like this shita. But whatever, there's like a little tiny line that attaches the two pieces. So it's really a full vav, but it's connected. It's taka connected. So we have over here multiple shitas in the definition of vav k'tiyah. What's pshat vav k'tiyah? Is it smaller? Is it broken? If you take a look in the Rambam and in the Shulchan Aruch, you're not going to find it. You're not going to find this whole discussion we had for the past 20 minutes, nothing of it in the Shulchan Aruch la'alacha. The Shulchan Aruch in Hilchas Sefer Torah and Yeridea goes through all the different changes in the Sefer Torah. The Shira Sayam, how it's written, not regularly. Hazinu, the Shulchan Aruch spells it out. The big letters, the small letters, the Kri, the Ksiv, the Shulchan Aruch spells it out. Why is it that the Shulchan Aruch doesn't spell out Vav K'tiyah? At least to write Vav K'tiyah, and then we'll come as Talmidei Chacham and we'll try to understand the Mefarshei Shulchan Aruch will handle what is Vav K'tiyah, but there is no discussion b'chlal about this Vav K'tiyah. It's a Gemara in Kedushin. If you open up the Gemara, there's no ois by the Gemara where it's brought in Shulchan Aruch. There's no Rambam, there's no Shulchan Aruch. Reb Kiveger says that if you learn like Rabbeinu Bechaya, the first shita we mentioned, that it's a small vav, Rabbeinu Bechaya, the first shita, says Reb Kiveger, it's included in the Rambam. Because the Rambam says in Hilchas Sefer Torah, Lashon HaRambam, v'yizoher ba'oisius ha'gdoilos ba'oisius ha'ktanos. So the Rambam means also, in this week's Parsha, the small vav. It's included. But what's about if it's k'tiyah, it's abnormal, there's no other such a type of ois in the whole Torah? Why doesn't the Rambam bring it? Shulchan Aruch. So maybe, ulai, but be'emes, it's mamash even a chutzpah to say that, because Reb Kiveger is speaking about the Ritva. Reb Kiveger is the one who showed us the Rambam. And Reb Kiveger says, Afi Rabbeinu Bechaya, it's good. But if you take a look in the Rambam, the next line, the Rambam says, U'ba'oisyois hanekudais. There are letters in the Torah that have a dot on top. So the Rambam, U'ba'oisyois shetzurason mishunois. That the letters are mishunois, are abnormal, are different. The Vav K'tiyah is mishunois, l'chayru, which would answer even the Shita, the other Shita. That it is brought in the Rambam. But we'll soon see in a minute, it's not so Parshat. We'll get to Mamash in a minute. But if it's taka brought in the Rambam, and if the halacha is that it's supposed to be Ketiyah, Zok the Ritva, when the Ritva says on the Ketiyah, says, Zok the Ritva, that you should fix it. The Lashon HaRitva, Nira explains what it is. Zok the Ritva, V'yesh lahagia kol hasvarim shalonu sheksuva kedarkai. Zok the Ritva, you should change, you should edit, you should be magia the Sefer Torah that's written as a regular vav. But wait a second, before you jump into action and this afternoon you're going to run to your shul and you make changes, let me share an unbelievable story. If you do need, so first of all, the Radvaz says, again, I didn't see the Radvaz inside, I'm quoting from the Avi Ezri, the Radvaz says that it's l'tchatchila. It's not ma'akev. It's not ma'akev, l'tchatchila, you should fix it. If you are fixing it, how do you fix it? Dr. Shlomo Zalman, there's a shita that holds that Shalom is one of the names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'eino nimchakim. So you can't go and, the simple way how to fix it would be is to scratch off, either to make it a small vav or to make a neat line, like I did over here with whiteout. So you go with a razor and you make a line in the middle. But if it's Shema she'eino nimchakim, how are you going to make a line? What are you going to do? Dr. Shlomo Zalman, I have an eitzah. You expand out on the letters on the side, the shin, the lamed, and the endemem, and you make it a little bigger, and with that, it's going to become the vav in the middle, become either small, or it's small and you'll add a dot on the bottom. Basically, you make the other letters bigger, and the vav is smaller. What'd you say? Yeah, but what are you going to do? You're going to add, if the vav is a regular size vav and you're going to add a dot on the bottom, so then the dot has nothing to do with the vav. It's like adding another dot on top of a letter. But if you make everything bigger and then you add on a dot, that'll be beautiful, or a line.
I misunderstood before. I thought we said that if you leave a thin line connecting them,
So it's going to be to the next line then.
Yeah, but you know, but a thin line is only that it is a separate piece and you make a streak going from one to the next. Here, you have a regular, healthy, regular vav.
you can't scrape off and leave just a thin line?
I think that goes into Shemas She'enim Nanchakim, that you can't, it's Ein Nimchak, even a little bit, you're being moichik. I want to try to share the story briefly. It's already the time, I don't want to go overtime over here, I'm going to try. But what the takeaway over here is we have many different shitas how the vav is ktiyah. It's not brought lahalacha. The Ritva says you should be masakin it. L'chayra, it's a Gemara Mefareshus that the Gemara says vav ktiyah. There's a Medrash story that happened in Italy 291 years ago in the town of the Batik Yehuna brings it in the town of Padva in Italy. It's a Medrash Gemaisa. The Rav, or one of the Rabbanim of town, his minig was Erev Shabbos to do Shnai Mikra Ve'echat Targum from the Sefer Torah. The Goyin, I think, did that. Shnai Mikra Ve'echat Targum from the Sefer Torah. Anyways, he's doing this Shabbos, Erev Shabbos Parshas Pinchas, he's reading from the Sefer Torah, Shnai Mikra Ve'echat Targum, and he sees that the Vav is a regular Vav. He was very bothered. Why was he very bothered? Because the Gemara in Kedushin says it's Vav Ktiyah. So he called his Chavrusa, that was another Rav of the town, or another Rav of the Shul, the assistant Rav. And he asked him, what should we do? They both came out that it has to be fixed. They called the Sefer of the town to fix it immediately, today, to fix it, Erev Shabbos Kodesh, that it should be fixed for this Shabbos, for the Kriyas HaTorah. The Sefer said, yeah, sure. Lamaisa, he didn't fix it, and he put the Sefer Torah that should be taken out for laning, he put that Sefer Torah, that one of the Sefer Torah within the Aron Kodesh had a regular Vav, and he put that Sefer Torah where the Baal Tefillah is going to take out, so they're going to take out a Sefer Torah with a regular Vav, for Kachava, and that's what happened that Shabbos. This Rav, the next Friday, when he went to go do Shnai Mikra, either they didn't move it away, or he was just wanted to check to see how they fixed it, what type of ktiyah did they make, and he went and he saw that it wasn't changed. L'maisa, the Rav always got Mafter and Shabbos Chazain coming up in 2 weeks. So as a Macha, because it seems like they still didn't change it, he made his own minyan not to be oil on that Sefer Torah. The Macha didn't help, because on Parshas V'aschano on Shabbos Nachum, the Rav always got the Kri of the Aseres Adibris, and they called him up for Aseres Adibris, and he didn't go up. I don't think because he held the Sefer Torah as apostle of Sefer Torah, but the Torah's Mecha, I don't think for his cover, more the Gemara in Kedushin says Vav K'tiyah. So what's going on over here? If you need a Vav K'tiyah, but Maisa, he didn't go up. They called up the other Rav, was also not Oila. And then they called up other people, and even if it was the layman, Nama'aretz, that didn't know, but if you saw that the Rabbanim are not going up, for whatever reason they're not going up, is it the Teichach, I don't know, who are also not going up. And Lamaisa, Rachman al-Tzan, the Sefer Torah was Munach be'Bezoi, and nobody wanted to be Oila l'Torah. And a Mamash made a huge machlokes over the word Shalom. Like you said, it's interesting, Lagabe Shalom v'lei mum, that is a mum. Over the word Shalom in the Torah, the Kehillah split. There was a Moiridiga split. Some went with the Sofer and some went with the Rav. But Lamaisa, they weren't giving Zach an Eitzah. So they sent a delegation to Venice. Also in Italy, they sent a delegation to Venice that was considered the Makam of the yeshiva was there, and the chashuvim, the biggest Makam Torah in Italy was in Venice, to ask what to do. Should we change it? Should we not change it? And whatever they're going to say, that's going to be the achra, and we have to move on in life.
What's the question? To fix it or not to fix it? Like, what are you asking?
Yeah, tell me what's bothering you.
Why not fix it?
Why not fix it? Very good. Why not fix it? What was the Sefer? It's interesting that the Sefer had such a azaz, but let's get to that in a minute. Why not fix it? Why not? Why not? What could be the worst thing? It's a small vav. I mean, what's you'd even attach it like the Radvaz? Why not? They sent a delegation to Venice. There were the Rabbanim to handle. From there, they sent to check out they sent to the town of Ferrara. Am I pronouncing it right? Also a town in Italy. Venice, we all know, but Ferrara had a collection, the biggest collection in Italy of Sefer Torah, 140 Sefer Torah. The Rabbanim of Venice sent somebody to check all 140 Sefer Torah to see what should we do? Should we make it smaller, not make it smaller? To their amazement, they found 138 of the 140 Sefer Torah had a regular vav. Only 2 had a ktiyah. One ktiyah was a small vav. One ktiyah, like the Rabbeinu Bechaya, one ktiyah was like the Ritva, amputated, chopped. And they came out with a conclusion not to change it. Now, our chassan, Mazel Tov on your engagement, asked, what's the big deal? Rabbi Ezzi's asking, what's the big deal? So do it. What's the big deal? Especially, we're talking about machlokes. Not to be moitzi laws on the Sefer Torah that are written regularly, not to change it. Ad kedei kach, they said that anybody that's going to change the Sefer Torah that's written regularly should be part of a chayrim. Ba'oifen, that's the story. And Lamaisa, it doesn't say Lamaisa if everything went back to normal, but Al Kapanim, they didn't change it.
Venice asking not to change it?
Not to change it, correct. So what's the takeaway from this whole story? We spent a good 20 minutes going through all the shittas involved Ktiyah. A lot of different shittas. It's a Gemara. It's a Gemara in Kedushin. And we went through to understand. And you'll take a look. By the way, if you're not a Kohen and you're not a Baal Koira, it's likely that you probably didn't see it. Because it's in the first Aliyah. You'll know for next year when they do Hagbah, Monday and Thursday, if you look out, you'll see it. But regularly on a Hagbah, when you look, you don't see. and if you're oil Torah, you would see it, but it's the Kohen's Aliyah. So you can look in this Shabbos, I think many of us, myself for sure, I'm going to go up, wherever I'm davening to see in the Sefer Torah, is it Ketiyah, and if it's Ketiyah, how it's Ketiyah. But all the takeaways with a Clarkite is in particular for this, that however it's written, obviously it shouldn't be changed. And B'chlal in general, this is a limit B'chlal. Sometimes a shaila comes up, uproar. We have to know that when there's a Messiah, to come and to change something, it's not so pashut. Over here, the Rav wanted to take a change it up here, Gemara in Kedushin. But Lamaisa, you see, there was 138 Sefer Torah that didn't do it. The Gemara says Vav Ketiyah. And with this I'm going to conclude, and I apologize for going over time, but a little bit, I guess, a story, you can shtickle get away with it. The Gemara says Vav Ketiyah. Mamish in a second, if you learn the Gemara, it could be these are machloikis. These are machloikis, it is only one shita. Furthermore, even in this shita, if you take a look in Avi Ezri, how he understands, lav dafka, Ketiyah means that it's really chopped, it's amputated. It's kind of like a play on drasha, that even though these evolve, read it, the drasha is like a Korean eksiv. Doesn't mean the poyel Ketiyah means cut it, make it smaller, chop it. Ketiyah means read it like without the vav. Oy bazoi, then ataka means that it should be a regular vav. It doesn't mean to change the vav. Mitzad the drasha, when you're looking at it, look at the shalom, the word without the vav. Ketiyah doesn't mean to really bepoil, change the vav. Have a wonderful Shabbos.
Where's that?